Well, as we've been telling you all week, we're featuring some of the key candidates in races that will determine whether or not Republicans will regain control of the House and the Senate in the midterms. One of the states that has been at the forefront of the Senate Republicans' efforts is Ohio, where Trump-backed J.D. Vance is in a tight race with Democrat Congressman Tim Ryan for the seat that's being vacated by Republican Senator Rob Portman, who is not running for re-election. J.D. Vance joins us now. J.D., good to see you again.
Good to see you, Sean.
So the latest polls have you neck and neck with Tim Ryan. Obviously, Trafalgar and the other ones have you up. But the interesting thing about Ohio, when I look at it, is Governor DeWine, who's also up for re-election. He's got a 17.4 spread margin right now over his Democratic challenger. I get he's the incumbent governor, but clearly that shows that Republican support in Ohio is fairly large. Where's the disconnect between the governor's race and the Senate race?
Well, I think the big difference, Sean, like you said, one, you have an incumbent governor, but more importantly, you have the National Democrats pouring money into the Senate race, whereas the National Democrats have largely abandoned the Democratic governor candidate in Ohio, Nan Whaley, who's running, really a campaign as a left-wing radical, whereas Tim Ryan, despite voting as a left-wing radical, is really trying to run as this independent, sensible moderate. And so one of our challenges here in Ohio, Sean, is just to let people know the truth about Tim Ryan's voting record on defunding the police, on destroying American energy, on opening the border, and certainly on driving inflation and taxes through the roof. He's really been at the worst end of the Democratic spectrum. And so we just need to let people know that fact, that the guy Tim Ryan pretends to be is very different from the guy that Tim Ryan actually governs as during his 20-year career politician in Washington.
So let me ask you about that, because you've been selling this narrative that there's two Tim Ryans, as you described there. There's a different guy in Washington, more of a moderate guy in Ohio. Is that narrative working with Ohioans?
I think it is, Lindsay, and I think that it's starting to catch on in a big way. But obviously, we've got 45 days here, and this is a big part of the story that we're telling over the next 6 weeks, is that the Tim Ryan who pretends to be a moderate has to be compared against the Tim Ryan who votes to raise your taxes, who's voted to open the border, and who votes to attack American police officers. And, given where the people of Ohio are, I have no doubt that once we get that story out, we're going to be in a very good place. You have to remember, guys, that the polls showed in 2020 that Donald Trump was going to lose to Joe Biden in the state of Ohio. Of course, the president won in a landslide against Joe Biden. So we have, I think, a lot going for us. The polling is good, but like you said, it's a little tight. But I think that's just a testament to the fact that the Democrats have poured a lot of money to tell a false story. We've got a job of correcting that story, and I think we will, and I think we'll win convincingly.
So, JD, I want to pick up where you're going there, right? We want to talk about getting that story out and money. Cleveland.com is the latest that's reporting about the fundraising in there. It says that your campaign has been struggling to keep up financially. We've officially today, we're 6 weeks out from the election. I get it. You guys, you're not going to, he's an incumbent congressman. I get all that. But at the end of the day, you still need to be able to, as you say, tell that story, put ads on, whether it's the two Tims ad or the ones talking about your agenda. How are you going to close that gap and get money in the door so that you compete with him on the air?
Our fundraising has been really strong the last couple of months, Sean. I do think it took a lot of our voters and a lot of our grassroots to really recover from the primary and get re-engaged in the general election. But we've been running a pretty consistent TV messaging campaign since Labor Day. We'll continue to do that through the end of the election. So I'm not worried about resources. People can always support us to get more TV commercials out there. They can go to jdvance.com if they're interested in doing so. But the National Democrats, look, they've poured a lot of money into this. We're never going to compete with that. But to your point, Sean, we don't have to. We just need to get our message out. We need enough resources to tell the story. I'm very, very confident we're going to meet that threshold, which is why I think we're going to win, and I think we're going to win convincingly.
Okay, so after a lot of back and forth, you and Tim Ryan have finally agreed to two debates, one on October 10th and then another on October 17th. Pretty close to the election. Are you concerned that this is too close in the process for voters?
I don't think so, Lindsay. You have some early voting in Ohio, and of course, I'd encourage everybody, especially those who want to vote for me, to get out there and vote early. But I think a lot of people in Ohio are going to let the cards play on the table. They're going to, see some more information. And so I think most voters will be able to watch those debates and then make up their mind afterwards. I think the debates are going to be very good for us. They were great for me in the primary. They're going to be great for us in the general election because, again, Tim Ryan has a record, and it's not a good record. And I think that the people of Ohio deserve to know that the Tim Ryan as he pretends on TV is totally different from the Tim Ryan, the 20-year career politician who bends the knee to Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi. The debates are going to be a very good opportunity to deliver that message and also, of course, to rebut some of the ridiculous attacks from the Ryan campaign.
You know, JD, when President Trump was out there rallying for you earlier, Hillary Clinton had something to say about all of the folks gathered there. I want to play it for the audience.
I remember as a young student, you know, trying to figure out how did people get basically drawn in by Hitler? How did that happen? And I'd watch newsreels and I'd see this guy standing up there ranting and raving and people shouting and raising their arms. You saw the rally in Ohio the other night. Trump is there ranting and raving for more than an hour, and you have these rows of young men with their arms raised. I thought, what is going on?
So those are your voters. Those are the people in Ohio. This is sort of like a basket full of deplorables. Is this something that you can turn on Tim Ryan and say, all right, tell us how bad the men are here in Ohio?
Yeah, it's just really disappointing and really disgusting rhetoric. I mean, look, Hillary Clinton can attack the president. She can attack me all she wants to. We're big guys and we can handle it. But this thing that these left-wing politicians do, where they make an enemy out of the citizens of their own country, it's just ridiculous. I mean, look, I want people to vote for me. I can say all kinds of things about Tim Ryan because I think that he'd be a bad deal for the state of Ohio, but I would never attack Tim Ryan's voters. And the fact that, you know, Hillary Clinton should spend a little less time on Twitter and a little bit more time in the heartland. If she had done that, she might be president right now, instead of going on and raving like a lunatic about how all of Trump's supporters are Nazis.
Well, I actually encourage her not to go out in the country. I think that for the good of all of us, she just stays where she is in some kind of New York enclave. But I get your point. JD Vance, best of luck. Stay in touch in these final 40 days.
All right. Thank you both. Take care.